Vi.
Next was Ambessa.
Yep.
And then we had Gwen.
Gwen. And Victor this time.
Okay.
Okay. Coach Kim is like, all right, Keen, get your Jace hands ready.
Yeah. And this does kind of... It means that they're giving up one of either Jace or Gwen. Unless Gen.G ban it right here.
The thing is also, if you're on red side and you go, oh, we'll leave both up, the blue side team gets Jace.
Yeah. But then you get Nidalee.
Right? Okay,
see the angles?
Slow down, Kingen.
See the angles?
Let's see what this final ban is going to be. It might be another mid ban.
What if they ban Jace, and then Keen picks Gwen, and then Shu plays Diana? It's not going to happen this game, but that would be a weird timeline.
Well, I just have this crazy idea that Keen's going to play Lock and Jace right now.
How can you know?
I have a feeling
How could you
about it.
possibly have that information?
Wow,
Wolf, the prophet.
I mean, they do call me Wolfstradamus.
We actually do. Not for this call specifically.
Oh, wait! Oh! That is not what I expected.
You caster cursed yourself.
Well, now Shiu gets to play Jason to Gwen, so I guess that was the idea about red side all along.
Or he could play Diana. No.
He's going to play Jace.
He's not going to play Diana. He's going to play Jace.
Now, what do they get here with the Jace is the question. You know, if you grab a mid lane pick here at the same time, can be a very strong 1-2 punch, but Victor's taken away, the Azir, the Talia are gone. Or do we end up here just looking for the Sejuani, which is quite safe and does give you a lot of power. Yone is still available.
Yeah. They banned Lilia for this. You know, we've seen a lot of Lilia into Sejuani and just into tanks, but mainly Sejuani. And so that was definitely on the card.
Sejuani and Gwen is also illegal to allow to happen, so they do deny that. This feels a little bit less powerful as a duo on its own. This is a pick that we don't like that much right now, but I do think is still strong. I think we can admit it's still strong. It's very tier list, but doesn't pair well with
Depends
Gwen
on who you ask.
Its win rate is
At the LCK.
31%, but I do think this pick has a lot of synergy with other champions, but some of them are fearless banned, like Rumble, for example.
I just think it fulfills its role, which is a tank who engages and has a very strong ultimate ability.
Okay, Chovy looking for the Corki, but potentially expecting Showmaker to play Yone here, but it's a very AD-focused comp if he does decide to play that. We're also not super confident in Showmaker's ability to play Yone right now. I think he's looking for something else here, but the question is what is going to pair well with the Sejuani? I don't think necessarily it has to be something like that, but looking for the Ahri here, though, there is some synergy between Ahri and Sejuani in terms of you know, the CC that the Ahri could set up or the Sejuani sets up for the Charm or the Arctic Assault, etc. But this doesn't fill me with a ton of joy here.
Rise?
Rise I like more. Just wave clear and scale later.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys that was playing it right when everybody was starting to play it again. I don't know if he was the first guy, but definitely feels quite strong in the meta nowadays. You know, the item build that you can go for is also very meta. Just like the Bruiser AP tank with the Rod of Ages and stuff, the Seraphs.
Chovy has been very good at every single iteration of Corki, and even though Corki's mostly seen as a Yone counter pick in mid right now,
what if
I still think that that part of this draft is not necessarily going to be a hole here for Gen.G.
They could also flex it bot and then play Cassiopeia. They're not going to play Cassiopeia, but they could play something else that fits a little bit better into the Rise. I think the Corki is fine into the Rise, but it's still flexible.
Yeah, it is technically flexible. It's a good point you raise. As Kalista is banned, of course. Varus also banned. So some of the big enemies of Corki in those first few levels are gone, so it could be a possibility. Rakan is banned here, looking for another support ban likely. Could see an Ashe ban for Gen.G in that final spot here, considering the synergy with the Sejuani. And the Nautilus is taken away now, so that allows aiming to potentially play Azeri that he didn't play in Game 1. So I do like the situation that the bottom lane is in here for DPLUS. So if they want to ban Ashe or if they want to ban Azeri, you only get one choice.
Kai'Sa.
Kai'Sa is, I feel like, a very risky choice here to play from DPLUS. They banned it last time, though.
Yeah, especially when that Corki is kind of looming. They're not going to ban it this time, so they are expecting something more of like a Zeri Lulu.
Yeah.
Or like a Jinx.
There's the Ashe, though, that I was talking about. Works so well in this comp.
Yeah.
You lock down a single target, the Sejuani sets you up, or the arrow sets up the Sejuani, and then the Jace follow up with a big burst damage. You can get the root from Showmaker on top of that single target as well. And even a Corki isn't getting out if he gets hit by any of that. We'll see the Kai'Sa to go over here to Gen.G, it looks like. It's not filling me with a ton of confidence here, because this is not really a dive comp.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit the comp very well.
And if you want to go for like the Kai'Sa poke, it doesn't really work out in this draft, I don't think, either.
Yeah, Xayah felt pretty good. You know, you're very safe. Kai'Sa generally safe, but lower range and a lot more all-in with her ultimate. You can go cleanse and you deal with a lot of the CC on their side, and then maybe you just get into close range and
you know
a lot of damage.
If they lock Leona here, we'll say the words, fellas. Kind of love a Braum here.
Oh no! Oh.
Braum feels like it rounds out the composition so perfectly. Like I absolutely love the Braum here.
You said the words.
So they're gonna pick instead the Renata, which is pretty good into Skarner and Gwen in general, because you're melee and you're running at the champs. But
yeah,
Braum is also good into that kind of stuff. But this Braum is good in lane, good at level 1. But in lane, when you have ranged Renata Glask as well, she is very oppressive into the Leona. And the
Corki. And we'll see how that does work for him. Both the Corki and the Skarner not very high on the win rates here, as it's Gen.G versus DPLUS, game number 2. In just a moment. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just had to speak. There we go.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
all right, well,
All right.
we knew there were a lot more Gen.G fans than DPLUS fans. Oh wait, there they go.
There they go. Someone is like prompting them to do it.
It sounds like, yeah, that
The casters.
that is the case. But it almost sounds like it's someone in the venue. I almost felt like I heard Sunke's voice.
Maybe.
But I don't. But
Could be.
I don't know who's casting in the venue because we have 2 different sets. So that's probably what's going on. As Lucid will take some damage, but that's
GG.
about it.
Yeah.
GG indeed.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a GG here, because it started to look like we were going to have a GG in game 1. Ended up being a little bit of a BG.
It was pretty exciting. It was that one fight that really just ended the game.
It's funny though, because hold up, we're going to have a little exchange here with aiming at level 1 because he's Ashe. Very small exchange. You know, against Gen.G, if you make those mistakes, they will punish you. But it definitely felt like DPLUS gave Gen.G the game back more than Gen.G earned it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of feeling that if any spectator who's not a fan of either team, like just is a fan of, you know, the best possible League of Legends, gonna make you cringe a little bit inside. And see if DPLUS can get it back, because they had such a great start in the last game, and they played the mid game beautifully, and they were so confident, but too confident, in fact. You can see another perfect win rate here for Showmaker, 3-0 on this one. You mentioned Lucid's win rate on the Xin Zhao. No longer perfect. We'll see if Showmaker can keep his.
Barrel also perfect on the Renata Glass, because he has not won or lost a game yet. We don't see as much Renata nowadays, but this did feel like a very good spot. Obviously, they were thinking about the Braum, but it just felt like Renata was just a bit better.
I think both picks have a very similar role to play in this draft. And Renata didn't come to mind instantly, but it feels very good into Skarner and Gwen specifically.
Yeah, they very much have to take direct lines towards your team. So, by the way, Kennen is the only person to win on this patch. A 10% win rate on 25.8.
Yeah.
And
the DPLUS fans see that stat, they're not sure, or the Gen.G fans rather, they see that stat, they're not sure whether they should be happy or worried.
yeah, probably worried, just because it's just not finding a lot of success nowadays. But like I said during the draft, it's still a tank that engages. It fulfills that role, and that's the role they wanted. They weren't going to get Sejuani, which would have been the best, but it was taken away. And they should have known that as well with the Lilia ban that did come through.
But Valdez, it's Fearless. He could have played anything.
Yeah.
Why would he pick the tier list champion?
That is the way it goes here at the LCK.
Lucid is going to take this crab away. And, I mean, Showmaker has a little bit of control here in mid lane. They're going to look for something.
Yeah, Canyon stunned out of the wall. Little root over it as the flash comes in, and Canyon has to flash to the cone, and oh, the disengaged cone will get the flash out. Here's Chovy looking for the one kill on the Showmaker. Will get it with the auto, and now guess who's here? It's Keen. First from the top lane, and that is going to escort Lucid out.
It's another play here, though, for DPLUS. It starts off great and then ends up kind of backfiring. I do think that a kill for a Sejuani versus Chovy getting a kill here in this mid matchup definitely favors Gen.G. And at least Lucid will get double crab. So there's that. But
Lucid super fed again?
Yeah, I guess so. Showmaker actually missing that final Q. We'll watch back here is actually going to really come back to haunt him, because this actually connects before the blast cone goes off, then they can just leave, and Lucid actually doesn't have to flash. He can stop Chovy from going in. Chovy has to leave. Keen comes down, and they probably just get out, right? And instead of getting a trade back kill here, Lucid also had to flash for the play, which is super frustrating for him. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was a nice setup. I really like the idea, but we went a little bit too deep.
Yeah. You see that Canyon was really trying to posture to not get double scuttled, and that almost cost him his life alone.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the team was able to trade it back. Still DK with the gold lead. A lot of that just in the bottom lane and in the jungle. Here comes Canyon now into mid, as a rock will be thrown at Showmaker, but it's Rise with Phase Rush, and you don't have any hard CC with those two just yet, with the Skarner at level 4.
Nice teleport back to lane, says Chovy. It'd be a shame if you had to to walk. Instead, Showmaker does have a refillable pot here, so
fine.
He's going to be okay. Looked for a moment, though, like maybe he was going to take too much damage there. Didn't have his flash, so a really nice gank opportunity there for the fast-moving Skarner that doesn't need to flash to get on top of a Rise. And Showmaker will still maintain his slight CS advantage. Very fast swap back to the bottom lane here for Ruler. Keen going to head up to the top side. Grubs on the table here. And Canyon, with this play here and the swap back to the bottom lane, is just going straight for Dragon. They have a Gwen, so surprised to see that this is where they want to commit. You know, this is where they want to put their eggs in the objective basket. Is the Dragon eggs in the objective basket, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Because Gwen with Grubs feels unstoppable in the side lane. She's fine without them, but, you know, I figured that would have been the angle.
Yeah. Gwen with Grubs, Jace with Grubs. Feels like both of those are extremely strong. Showmaker getting in there, blocked by a bunch of minions. Chovy was the one who was taking the aggressive trade and actually kind of lost it towards the end. So, kind of not happy with that. Mountain Drake goes over to Gen.G, and we have another Chemtech Drake.
Okay. Be interesting to see how the Soul does turn out.
Hextech again.
Could be. Could end up being Infernal, which would be really fun in this game too. As see another swap. You know, we're just kind of trading lanes here a little bit. Gwen does not have teleport. Shiu's going to have his a little bit faster. He has that top push, but Ruler's going to catch the wave. Chovy finds himself dead even in CS as long as he hits both of these, which he will. And it's a very even early game again. DPLUS small advantage. See this plate gold actually going to be denied. He does not pick it up.
I feel like we're very zoomed in here.
Yeah, I kind of.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, no,
I don't
feel
know.
that as well.
Okay, there we go. I think Donald Strong just realized too. I'm not sure if he was doing it just for dramatic effect on the turret. Probably
I
was.
think he wanted to see if the yellow line was going to go in. As Lucid's up here with level 6.
Yep. Bit of damage comes in. Not going to throw an ult though.
Yeah, wants to maybe get a flash out of Duro. Ruler had cleanse, so he's not really the target you necessarily want there. Because he doesn't pull the trigger, he doesn't get any summoners, but he does, of course, get to keep his ultimate. And a little bit of pressure up there on the top side, but Nothing too impactful as the early game continues to be relatively quiet here.
The most recent Jace versus Gwen we had was yesterday when it was Kingen up against Zeus, and it was
Yeah.
it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough. Just because the Jace for Zeus was incredible. Spacing was amazing. Now it's a Gwen versus an Ashe and a Renata Glass, which the needles do come out. Beryl trying to tank this one up here as the ult does come down. Bit of damage goes back into Keen, as eventually without his ult, he's not going to win that 1v2.
Yeah,
And now we got Lucid down here.
Don't think he can stay around, in fact, without knowing where Lucid is. They are going to push this top turret, and because Cannon's up there, they're like, okay, if Lucid's top, then we deal with this and push on the Jace. So it's kind of like top laners aren't allowed to play the game. We delayed the lane swap, but
yeah.
Ultimately we still ended up with this. Lucid!
Oh boy, Chovy way too far up. He's going to try to flash, and Valkyrie, it's not going to happen. Lucid and Showmaker put it together. It's so difficult to get away from both Ryze and Sejuani if you don't have the cleanse. And now TP's coming in. Keen has done a huge amount of damage to both barrel and aiming already.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, Keen's just going to back away, but now we got Realm Warp coming in. Trying to get on top of him. Lucid here as well. Maybe a stun to come down, and under the turret, Siu just knocks him back with a flash. And it's another kill to DK.
Yeah, they end up making it work here. Now they're going to get a TP here out of Chovy into the bottom lane. Do they commit for another one? There's only a few minions here, but actually the next wave comes over. This could have been too much for Chovy.
Yeah, I mean, he's here very early, and now we have the bailout. Beryl is going to go down, but so does Chovy. I mean, Chovy got a kill, but so does Showmaker.
So my biggest concern for this play here for DPLUS was not that they would end up losing people in the exchange or trying to dive too far. It was just that the push from the top lane was just going to be unanswered. She was just like, okay, you can have this. I hope we get things to work out in the bottom lane. I hope the Realm Warp is good. I hope we get this kill because it needs to work out. Otherwise, you end up losing way more. You can see, look at the state of the top lane right now already. Like, before this even happens, like, he is just having a rough time. Like, the Jace is completely pushed out. That's why Gwen has a CS lead. Not because she's winning in the 1v1. They're just winning on the cross map. But then he commits the TP here, so you're really going to lose out in the top lane if you don't find success here. Like, this absolutely has to work. The execution, though, is crisp. And if you see this teleport from Chovy, he's like, well, I'm not going to let them get this turret. We're still pushing top. Maybe I can defend this. I am Corki. I do have Valkyrie. Fortunately, that's all he's got here. The bailout is almost able to go off. Like, so close to actually losing no one here. And yes, Chovy does get a kill back, but it's a big win for DPLUS. I thought the play was incredibly risky, though. But luckily for DPLUS, the execution was good enough to make up for it. And that's what Ryze can get you, is that extra man in the bottom lane.
Yeah. It's just nice to see DK taking risks again and having it pay off this time. We'll see what happens with these grubs. We do have Gen.G on them at the moment. It's just the two of them, though. And I feel like DK could absolutely fight for this if they wanted to, as now coming over is Duro. Gonna engage a bit on Lucid, but again, Lucid's pretty fed, as now we got a join from the side of Ruler. They want to take the fight, in they go, on to Lucid. He is just so dead, even an Impale utilized, and the collapse came in so quickly that DK could not really respond in time.
Yeah, Showmaker does show up here, and we'll kind of push them away, so it's not gonna be more than that first grub in this initial attempt taken. We'll see if they can actually get the next two, which will put them on 5-1. Chovy sitting alone, getting a little bit of that extra one grub power here. We'll be able to pick up a plate, but they're pushing mid at the same time. Good macro plays here from DPLUS. I don't really mind the fight there for them because they had the Renata ultimate. They were in a good position to contest. They will actually end up conceding their grubs to Canyon, so it'll be a 3-for-3 split. But ultimately, the fight was played out better by Gen.G. And the problem with this for DPLUS in general is that Duro, yeah, great target, like it's a support, but it's Leona. And a lot is used on this Leona, who is just so incredibly tanky and tough to take out. And then the follow-up here from Ruler is fantastic. It's after the ult has already been used for Beryl when Ruler goes in. He was able to follow up there and take that kill. So I think it was just a good play and outplay from Gen.G as Ruler flashed.
Yeah, he's flashing on that auto hit a minion. We'll see if they can still finish him off. They absolutely can. Meanwhile, down on the bottom side, DK get another kill. At least Duro will trade one back, but I think that kill over to the side of DK will be certainly more valuable.
Yeah, I think the kill went to Lucid, but still getting any kill onto Chovy at all has been quite rare, by the way, in the LCK. Feels good, taking him off the map. And yeah, support trading the kill doesn't feel as good, but you're winning on two places here as Gen.G. We'll see how it all eventuated, because we kind of had a late zoom in onto the flash, but I think it's just the fact that Aiming has these oppressive slows, and Ruler did not have cleanse, so needs to try to buy some space there and still ultimately goes down. We'll see how this did eventuate. Well, maybe we'll take a look at the bottom lane play first instead. It's just Lucid who hits Chovy before he Valkyries, so even though he buffers it, he's stuck in place. Duro shows up to try to save him. A little bit too late, gets the kill, but Chovy does not survive. As yeah, watch this again. Just an arrow, and he didn't have cleanse, okay. And I saw the arrows on cooldown, but you never know if it hits or not when you don't see it with your eyes. But that was just as simple as what happened there. With no cleanse, good angle for aiming, good accuracy.
Yeah. It's, you gotta be careful when you're alone. It's not technically the Ruler spot, but it's very close. Looks like he was approaching it as well. Still, Gen.G are not too far behind. DK have a nice, about 1,000 gold lead, but they split the grubs. There's no Drake that did go over to DK just yet.
Yeah, the Chemtech Dragon has just certainly not been the priority of these teams right now, leaving it alone.
Not very surprising.
What's interesting is I actually find, hold up, Duro gonna get ulted.
Yeah, I don't know about this one.
Aiming.
Lucid getting a bit overexcited.
Yeah, aiming was far away, could arrow, but could not auto.
Well, ult comes down on aiming, but he's got cleanse, and not only that, he's got Mikhail's from Barrel. So now that he doesn't have cleanse, he's got Barrel's item. So he's never getting locked down by Leona is essentially what they're saying.
Yeah, either CC will be, or either item can cleanse, so when one's down, the other one will be up if played correctly and doesn't get caught by anything else, but there really isn't any other big cleansable CC. Lucid is going to take this Dragon. I was going to say, I find Chemtech Soul to be much more valuable than individual Chemtech Dragon. Like, Chemtech Soul, I think, has its place, and it is, in some cases, when you have, like, a Gwen, for example, I mean, damn, that's really powerful, but Chemtech Soul on its own, one single dragon, is kind of like, It's one step to a soul, and it's Ocean Soul. So I think the dragon interest not going up too much in this game. Turret interest, though, is still peak. You know, it's still high. It's a good time to kill turrets. And Gen.G are going to look for this turret here. Barrel is shadowing. But I think they have to just go.
Yep, they're going to get the first turret. Actually, it might have gone over to the
went to the chase. Yeah, bottom lane.
DK got the feats of warfare. Or rather, they did get that, and they got the feats of strength as well. So they're going to pick that one up.
Yeah, the timing of this was really nice for DPLUS, and Barrel, you know, he came up there, he was trying to just keep Showmaker safe and deny a dive. That was the best he could have done. Not enough time. His aiming is now no cleanse.
Where's his Barrel? Oh no! The flash heal! It doesn't help at all!
He tries to flash heal to close the gap, and now he's flashless.
Oh boy.
And Chovy does have flash.
Is this how it begins, Wolf? Is this how Gen.G's comeback starts again?
I've seen plenty of fail flash plays from Barrel in my time, and I think that alone is not going to be enough. But maybe a Rift Herald take and a desperate attempt to deny it by DPLUS could be. I think DPLUS are just going to have to give this one up with no AD carry here. And
I mean, aiming was in a position, he saw the Kai'Sa, stayed around, doesn't have either summoner, and he doesn't even have his support.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not, I'm not going to say it's the game-losing moment, but it's certainly a big window back into this game and full control now to Gen.G, who have the Herald. Duro is Leona.
Yeah, we're just running in the two of them before the team even gets there. This is not looking good for DK. Duro, though, is going to go down, and you know what? Keen at least is able to get the kill. The Impale is also going to miss, as now the stun of the wall, and Shiu's in a lot of trouble. Goes down to Ruler's Q on the flash, as he's not able to get away. Canyon now just going to flash away himself. Showmaker makes his way over, but he's kind of alone as the one guy who can still do damage, and Gen.G are just able to sail away. And look at Chovy in the top lane, just farming it out.
Farming it out, trying to set up some deep vision, trying to see if he can catch anything here, any information, any control wards that are up there. Just goes back to farming. In the top side here, we'll even get some damage done to this turret. As Showmaker doesn't have teleport, he's aware of it, and Shiu is not alive.
Could Realm Warp to try to set something up?
Guess he could.
It looks like he's not going to. There's a big wave on the turret, and they don't know exactly where he is.
Yeah, it's just not enough information to make that play, I don't think. I mean, we obviously knew where Chovy was exactly and where Showmaker should have Realm Warped.
Oh, this engage was so forced.
Duro is Leona. That's all I have to say here. And Keen is here in this choke point. Now, the ult here from Barrel actually kind of saves the play, but then we're still committing in further. And this play from Shiu, the flash, when he was definitely, I think, 100% dead there, is not it. But Thought perhaps he'd flash before the Q went off from Ruler. Is not able to get away. And they want more. They're like so close to winning this fight. If everyone was there at the beginning of the fight, if everyone was set up, then you have the Ashe slows and you can actually still pull it off as tragedy strikes again here for a DPLUS fan. But like, they weren't all together, you know? The same way that Aiming didn't have Summoners and Barrel wasn't close enough, you know? When he tried to heal Flash to get close enough, but he wasn't. And being almost there, you know, being almost together, being almost grouped, and the synergy is almost there. It's just not going to cut it. Almost is not good enough against Gen.G.
We've seen a lot of our teams on the east side of the standings really struggle to have everybody there at the same time on engages when they do decently well in the laning phases. DK are one of our top teams. They should not be taking fights like that. They're in a position, and they were even in a better position to really take fights on their terms, really dictate the pace of the game, and all be there at the same time. But instead, it's just getting a little messy. And Gen.G, they're not even doing anything special. They're just playing very clean. Everybody's there at the same time. You know, if they know they're going to win the fight, they all go in at the same time.
Ashe is so incredibly good into Gwen and Skarner if there's enough space you can buy, because their slows make it difficult to escape. And then as Gen.G, if you're losing the fight, you're just everyone's gonna die, like trying to run away, because you'll never get away. She has Runins now as well, but if you end up putting all your resources into Duro, and the Gwen does a lot of damage, and your Jace is overextending, and then the Ashe is like, well, I'm finally chasing them down, then it's not gonna work, as Barrel has no vision in this brush.
Well, he's not going to get stunned. He's kind of wanted to go through the wall there. I feel like he could have just stunned him up against the wall, but either way, Barrel does get out. It's now a follow-up engage, but Lucid just going to charge over the wall. It's the first Ocean Drake, and there are a decent amount of members, at least on the side of Gen.G, that will be having a large health pool, like the Gwen, the Skarner, the Leona. Not massive ones, but it feels still nice to get an Ocean Soul if you can do it. It's very good for controlling objectives and stuff like that.
Longer fight's really good for Gwen, really good for Skarner.
It's going to drop a Rift Herald in their face. Hey, what are you going to do about this? We're going to take the fight now. Let's see the Impalus Canyon going to get in there. The Renata ult is pretty good, but he gets aiming. And first goes down Barrel, so the bailout not going to do anything. And Lucid also going to fall by the wayside. Shu and Cho making the 2 damage stealers. Just absolutely not able to do anything. And the follow-up is coming in. They still have the Kaisa ult here. And they get a 4th member as Gen.G just roll over DK in the fight.
A very decisive fight win here for Gen.G, and this starts to feel like the straw that breaks the camel that is DPLUS's back, as they're just going to be able to take the dragon from this. They grab the turret in mid lane. A very close game until it was 1,000 gold lead into now a 4,000 gold lead. And here the angle for DPLUS is like, okay, we got the turret, maybe we can get out, but Gen.G have so much follow-up here, and they have a Skarner, and even though the ult goes off from the Renata here, it feels way too early. Maybe they should have waited until Gen.G collapsed closer to the turret to go for it, because the follow-up Impale is still there from Canyon, and it's just so easy to clean up the turret from here, and then guess who's coming? You know, the long-range engage comes through from Ruler. Showmaker is able to at least realm warp away, but so much turret gold goes over. Showmaker will get at least 1 outer back in return here, and his Rod of Ages is completed.
All right, trying to collapse on a Keen, but he's got a lot of help now, and he has his needles available, so he is not killable. Now an ult going to come down on a Ziwu, and it's just getting worse for DK. They're getting caught in the side lane, trying to collapse onto a Gwen, who is in a very fed position. And, I mean, there's not even a Baron available, but it feels like Gen.G have Baron with the ability to just roll over these lanes.
Yeah. You know, from here, Showmaker just stays, like he gets the inner, that's a lot of money to arise. But I'm worried about what happens next when we start moving towards these objective fights, because the leads that Ruler, for example, has, that Gwen has in this fight, is so big. I don't think that a Rise that picks up 700 gold is going to fill that gap, you know? And yes, he is the only one who's ahead over Chovy, but Chovy still hit his 2-item spike. And he's just one of really 3 carries in this team fight, damage output-wise. You know, the Nashor's Tulip has done for Keen for a while. I'm trying to kill a Gwen. I can respect it. You know, I respect the hustle. But I feel like...
It's very nice of you, Wolf.
It's second, I think, to trying to kill Leona, which we already tried that one. And Gen.G, when they have map control, they're just going to be there faster, especially when your Rise, ultless Rise, with no teleport, is pushing an inner. He's not going to be able to help. Everyone else, though, on Gen.G is going to be able to collapse faster. I think just trying to defend the Gwen more directly instead of trying to all in on killing her would have been a safer option, so then you could maybe trade up on turrets, but this is Otacon time. Aiming does have his ultimate, but no summoners here.
Trying to see where Duro's coming in from. He is going to be spotted now. And he's on a ward, so he figures that out now.
Ruler is nowhere near this fight. If they identify this, maybe there's a window.
They would have had to engage right away, but at this point, a bit too late.
And he can also join from so far away. I think DPLUS are just simply going to have to give this one up. Chovy is just going to stand guard here with Duro on the cross, so there's just no way. There's no entry point for Lucid.
Yep, Chovy's just clearing wards in the face of the enemy team. There's not really anything that they can do at this point in time. Just going to burst this one down, and, well, they got to get in. The arrow's not going to hit anything somehow, and they're just zoned away. Not going to be able to do anything, and now the engage comes in from Gen.G. Getting onto aiming once again, who does have the bailout, but he's still getting just burned through it. It's not enough, and the wallets of Gen.G are just gigantic once again, and they should be able to take this game from here with the Ruinous Otacon. And their insane lead 24 minutes in.
Yeah, forget your Rod of Ages. Petals are the new Rod.
Yum, 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 yum.
Snipping them up. That's a pretty efficient way to get rid of those flowers and put them across your whole roster. The fight here is just so, like, the zoning is so good, the positioning of Chovy is so good that by the time he gets pushed away, he's like, well, I'll just go help secure the objective. And then DPLUS are stuck here. They have to use the Renata ult aggressively, which is always going to be a quite difficult challenge to get value out of, right? Like, you want to use that to turn fights. Sometimes you can use it to deny dives, but the dive comes after the ultimate because DPLUS are kind of stuck there, pushing into a choke point against a Gwen, so they have to drop it early. And, like, you don't want to give the Otacon, but it was never going to be a winning scenario for them. It was just a lose-lose. Can't really criticize them for that. You're going to have to wind the clock back pretty substantially in this game if you really want to criticize DPLUS, because from here on out, the choices you can make are so incredibly limited against a team that makes very few errors.
We have a collector third for Chovy now, so yeah, he's going to be collecting some souls. We already have IE and a Zeal for Ruler. Like, he's just so far ahead on this Crit Kaisa.
He does have 18 wins over DPLUS in his collection already. I think he's looking to collect the 19th.
Yeah. He is a collector himself.
Yeah. They're just, once again, it's like Chovy and Duro hold the line, because Chovy has an escape, and he can get out. And they don't really have great engage outside of the ult from Lucid. So, like, Duro and Chovy are the right people, and Keen's on the flank, and this Baron is just gone. Lucid's in!
They're just throwing everything at it, and it's not going to be stolen. Nice try by Lucid. I don't even know how he got in there, but man, it just feels like the game is over from here. Keen doesn't have his ult anymore, but he's just snipping away at Showmaker's butt, and he will take him down. Meanwhile, she was bot. Never really found a reason to TP in there because the fight was just lost. Like, Ashe ult went in, Renata ult went in, and they just didn't do anything.
Yeah. I think this is the expected result, Valdez, for me as a 2-0 Predator. But with the game one that DPLUS looked so good, and in game two there were certainly some moments. It looked like there was hope, but I think this is the end.
They're just smashing him now, as Shiu did at least come back to the base to participate in the last fight. But Gen.G 2-0, nothing to see here, actually, as there were some decent moments for DK in early games, but eventually a couple mistakes here, a couple mistakes there, and Gen.G just looked like the obvious victor.
Yeah. They